Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We are simulcasting now. The syndicated radio transmission is not only on AM and FM dial, #1 internet radio show, global shortwave WWCR, and satellite, as well as XM starting next week. We are also, of course, simulcasting on video for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers. Speaking of PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, other folks can just go to Infowars.com and check it out. I'm wearing another one of our designer T-shirts, Worst President Ever, with George W. Bush on one side, and right under it, the other side of his face is Barack Obama. Until now, Infowars.com. And on the back it says, don't be a sucker, Infowars.com. This will wake up a Republican or a Democrat. You go to them and you say, look, have you seen all these members of Congress, Republican and Democrat? Ron Paul, a Republican, many other Democrats, say foreign banks now rule America and dominate every facet of our lives. And then you can break their conditioning, literally having a discussion about this. The left won't hate you. The right won't hate you. It will neutralize with a simple picture. Because most of the public is at like a second or third grade childlike level. And you can, like a storybook. Maybe I should write a children's book for adults, you know, for the general public who are kind of at that level, where it's a parable about how there's a good cop and a bad cop, but kind of put it in a fairy tale situation. And then you learn at the end that both guys were bad, and that they were running a scam, and that they worked for the same evil count. You know, I mean, maybe I should write children's books for adults, because this is so fundamentally simple, but people are bought in to all the pageantry and all the debates and all the little fine details of the false left-right paradigm. It's like a football game or a soap opera. They get caught up in it. And the establishment really are shysters. They are yarn spinners. They are magicians. That's what they're doing. So we love this shirt, available at Infowars.com, because it wakes people up in a big way. While you're at Infowars.com, I would invite everybody to also check out films like Endgame, Terror Storm, The Obama Deception. All these films are so important that your friends, your family, your neighbors see, and we have big discounts on all of those films at Infowars.com. You can also call toll-free to order any of my documentary films, books, T-shirts, the materials we carry, and your purchase also makes everything we do here possible. Without you, we couldn't do this, so I want to thank everybody. Without the PrisonPlanet.tv members, without folks buying the books and videos and T-shirts, we couldn't do it. The toll-free number is 888-253-3139, 888-253-3139. Or if you want to order the books and videos, you can call the toll-free number and find out all the details and prices and combos and specials. And you can write to us if you'd like. You can order over the phone, but if you'd like to get the address, you can also call and find out, you know, details and prices by calling 888-253-3139. My mailing address is 3001 South Lamar, Suite 100, Austin, Texas, 78704. Also, we are having the annual Money Bomb. I don't know if it'll be annual next year, but this will be the second annual Money Bomb. The first one was set up by volunteers that had the idea on their own. We're doing this same time of the year, start of the summer. It's June 11th, and you can find out more at InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com. That will go to get more equipment, expand what we're doing, hire more people, and we'll hire and do whatever we can with the money that comes in from that. And you can certainly see the changes from our old studios to this one, thanks to all of your support out there. Okay, let me go ahead now and hit a few news stories I haven't gotten to, and then I'm going to break down the Cybersecurity Act control grid and just use that new announcement, this new cabinet-level position out of the White House, not just an example of federalization and federal takeover and control, but admitting everything will be wiretapped, which it already is. This just expands it, and admitting that it's so they can kill switch everything. I want to go over that today and tie it in to the whole eugenics situation. But in the interest of time, because we do have Steve Voss coming up and Kinky Friedman in studio, I want to go ahead and run through some of the news that we have here, here's my Wall Street Journal article. Stack of stuff just gets bigger and bigger here. In a first high court affirms gun rights. Now, remember, we heard that June 27, 2008. It was another Wall Street Journal. I printed this morning. There was another Wall Street Journal dealing with how Sotomayor's rulings, where she has said in previous federal courts, that's the one I want, where she says, yes, you have a right for us to take your guns. You have a right to join the military. That is the Second Amendment. No one is allowed to own guns. The Attorney General has that opinion. Eric Holder, the president, as a state senator and U.S. senator, held that opinion. That's on record. It's not our opinion. They've introduced bills to massively restrict the Second Amendment. Here's a Bloomberg I have on it, but this doesn't really get into Sotomayor. It says, headline, Chicago law banning handguns in city upheld by court. And the Wall Street Journal article is good because it gets into Sotomayor and then lists all her activities. A Chicago ordinance banning handguns and automatic weapons within city limits was upheld by the U.S. Court of Appeals panel, which rejected a challenge by the National Rifle Association. The unanimous three-judge panel ruled today that the U.S. Supreme Court decision last year, which recognized individual right to bear arms under the U.S. Constitution, Second Amendment, didn't apply to states and municipalities. And that Supreme Court ruling was 5-4, very, very narrowly for the Second Amendment. And I read the statements of the court, which were added into precedent, and I argued with some of the pro-gun groups, and I said, this is the consistent thing George W. Bush said and what Handgun Control Incorporated says. They're saying, oh, you have a right to Second Amendment if you're in the military, but we have a right to ban your guns. And I kept warning people, this is what you're now going to see. And now they've had states ruling this way, cities ruling this way, counties ruling this way. And see, the federal government's only there to protect the Bill of Rights and to have a Navy and defend the borders and to coin the money. And they don't do any of those things they're supposed to. This is one issue where the states do not have a right to restrict the Second Amendment. They have no right. This is a federal right. And it is also reserved to the states. But when the states try to go after that, or the feds do, it's null and void. And I've read the anti-federalist papers, the federalist papers. I have read scores of books on the real Second Amendment, and that is the facts. Anybody tells you something else, they're a liar. A Chicago ordinance banning handguns and automatic weapons within city limits was upheld by the U.S. Court of Appeals panel, which rejected a challenge of the National Rifle Association. The unanimous three-judge panel ruled today that the U.S. Supreme Court decision last year, which recognized an individual right to bear arms under the U.S. Constitution, Second Amendment, didn't apply to states and municipalities. The Supreme Court has rebuffed requests to apply the Second Amendment to the states. U.S. Circuit Court Frank Esterbrook wrote, upholding lower court decisions last year to throw out suits against Chicago and its suburb of Oak Park, Illinois. In Fairfax, Virginia-based NRA sued the municipalities in June of 2008, one day after the U.S. Supreme Court decision in the District of Columbia versus Heller struck down the handgun ban in the U.S. Capitol District encompassing Washington. It was, see, this thing's making it sound reasonable. They've got basically all guns banned in Chicago, and if you can go pay for a special permit and jump through a bunch of hoops, you can own one, a rifle. It was a total gun ban in D.C. For all intents and purposes, but they act like it was just handguns. We clearly disagree with the court's conclusion. Representative of the NRA, Attorney William N. Howard, a partner in Chicago's Freeborn and Peters LLP, said in a telephone interview, the next step will be an appeal to the Supreme Court. We recognize this may not be the end of litigation. Jenny Hoyle, a spokeswoman for the City of Chicago Law Department, said, acknowledging the likelihood the NRA would seek further review, we're certainly prepared for that if it happens. We're prepared to aggressively defend our ordinance because Chicago is Mafia-Don, daily run. And when the Mafia comes in and robs a bank, they say, get your hands up. They make the security guard, the American people, drop their guns. I mean, Hitler took the people's guns. Blacks couldn't own guns. Native Americans couldn't own guns. When you're going to enslave somebody and muscle them and push them around, you want them disarmed, so you have to come to the Mafia for protection, which is the police and the government. See, they want to be able to oppress you and you can't resist them, and they want crime to explode, as their own white papers admit, so there needs to be more and more cops, more and more control to then feed off that larger crime system and basically tax the criminals.